Attention humanitarian and development professionals. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Then you've come to the right place. Humanitarian Global offers self-paced online courses designed specifically for you. With our comprehensive curriculum, you'll build your capacity in the most critical areas of humanitarian and development work. Our course offerings include monitoring, evaluation, accountability and learning, water, sanitation and hygiene, disaster risk reduction and management, food security and nutrition in emergencies, procurement and supply chain management, human nutrition and dietetics, maternal, infant and young child nutrition. With Humanitarian Global, you'll have the opportunity to grow your skills and impact the lives of people in need. Visit our website to learn more about our courses and apply today.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, once again, and welcome to this free webinar hosted by Humanitarian Global. Today's topic is data analysis, visualization, and reporting fundamentals. Our expert for the day is Jashon Owano, and he's very skilled in data analytics and visualization. That is his area, his specialty, and he'll be able to take us through the topic, especially when you're talking about the different fundamentals in reporting when it comes to analysis and visualization of data using different tools. So he'll be able to take us through that today. Before we begin, we can start with salutations. And I do see a number of us attendees who've shared their salutations through the chat section. So thank you so much. I do see Ahmed, I see Geoffrey, Hussein, Minase, Geoffrey, so many people. We have even Feleke from Ethiopia. We have Yusuf from Togo, Alex from Uganda. So thank you so much for the salutations. I would like also to say hello to those of us joining in through Facebook Live. Welcome to today's webinar, and I hope we get to interact and make the most out of the hour we will be together. I'd like to welcome our team here at Humanitarian Global to say hello. So I'll start with Sheila. Sheila, you can say hello to everyone.
Thank you so much, Diana. As you heard, my name is Sheila, and welcome to this webinar session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of our other colleagues, Ian, Brian, Anthony, who are working behind the scenes to ensure that this webinar runs smoothly, I do send their greetings. And greetings from me, myself. My name is Diana, part of the Humanitarian Global team, and I am the training coordinator. I'd like to bring on Jashon just to say hello, introduce himself to the attendees, but he will be coming on later to make his presentation on data analysis, visualization, and reporting fundamentals. Jashon, you can say hello to everyone.
About that. Good afternoon from Nairobi, Kenya. To feel very much welcome to this webinar. The next couple to the top of the hour to cover data analytics and visualization on two very big tools that have been known for being able to help with the data analysis and reporting. Today, our focus is going to be on SPSS and Power BI. I'm proceeding to hoist my screen, so allow me a minute to just share my screen here, and we should be ready to proceed. So please confirm if and when you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Beautiful. So thank you so much to the Humanitarian bringing together this webinar so that we can be able to enlighten our colleagues with regards to the use and the need for being able to use these two tools. So we are going to spend more or less half the time talking about Power BI and half the time talking about SPSS. Then perhaps towards the end, we'll try and do a comparison and be able to decide when to use which tool and some of the advantages and disadvantages they all are accompanied with. Get started that I've done all around. That not being the focus of the day, I'll just skip it and be able to go through in. So we're going to start by understand what data visualization is, then we and perhaps try to do a comparison. As a state is what has been used or is being used by very people, and some who do. But to put it in perspective, you want to think of data analytics whenever you are using or whenever you find to manage or be able to make this relates to the kind of work you're doing or data that is being or secondary was collected by other people or other agencies, and there is a need for you to being able to form the decision. Data is the new oil. In our organizations, we do crunch a lot of data every single day. The amount of data that is collected is about 2.5 quintillion. That makes about 2.5 billion terabytes of data every day. The data and information you have for purposes of informing the decisions that you make, then you find that as a business or as an institution, you make decisions with significantly statistically better than somebody who makes decisions out of random thought processes. So then, talking about business intelligence, which is a subset of data analytics, business intelligence encompasses the whole ideology around being able to either use technologically driven processes backed by data that we do collect in our organizations for purposes of being able to either present or to inform actionable decisions or actionable strategies which are backed by the said data. So business intelligence then encompasses a variety of tools, applications, methodologies, systems, processes, which organizations will either use to collect data, either internally or externally, depending on the kind of data they are looking for, will either use to prepare data for analysis, will either use to be able to develop and to run queries against which the data that they have or that they intend to have, or systems that the organization might use for purposes of being able to create reports, dashboards, and visualizations. Now, most of the data tools that we have, each of them contain most of these characteristics, some being better in others than the rest. So as a status, because we are going to talk about Power BI and SPSS, I should mention that Power BI stronghold is in dashboard reporting and presentation. SPSS's stronghold is on the side of statistical analysis and review. So when you have collected your data, you could use, ODK, you could use Kobo, you could use manual forms, whatever systems you want to use to collect data. When you have that data, or even Excel for that matter, when you have that data, the point where you want to better understand the details and the characteristics and the attributes of your data, you want to think more in the line of SPSS. At the point where you want to use that same data to be able to develop reports, whether these reports are in visuals, whether these reports are in dashboards, whether these reports are in tables, whether these reports are in the key performance indices of the organization, you want to think more of Power BI. Not to mean that SPSS cannot do the visualization or the dashboard reporting, not to mean that Power BI cannot do statistical analysis, but the strength that each of them have lies in the areas in which we are going to see in the discussion. So starting with Power BI, this call output of screens merged together of an illustration from a Power BI presentation final output. Those screens are presentations from 3 Power BI dashboard reports. What you'll be looking at, or that will be your end game, as and when you're using Power BI, you could be able to achieve ends of parameters. So what exactly is Power BI? In other words, we talk about it. So BI stands for business intelligence. So you want to call it Power Business Intelligence. It is a Microsoft application, purposely helping to deliver insights, that are able to allow you make very fast decisions. Power BI will allow you to be able to transform from in whichever system or in whichever format it is to very beautiful and very captivating visuals that you can then be able to share with your bosses, with your colleagues, with your teams, with your partners, donors, depending on this report should be going to. You will be able to visually explore and analyze your data on premises or in the cloud, all depending. So you can use Power BI on your desktop or on your laptop. You can use Power BI with data that is on online servers. You can, for instance, be able to connect your Power BI application to your website so that the moment a client goes on the website and say purchases a product that you consume of, that will be captured as a data point, will be sent on the BI background, and will be included on the final BI report so that the person who is monitoring sales can be able to tell that by the end of the day, these are the sales that we have been able to make in this good day of the Lord. On Power BI, you will be able to collaborate and share customized dashboards. It's allowed for a very interactive platform that you can use either on your mobile phone, on your iPad, on your mobile devices, or on all the portable devices that you have. So much so that if I were to conclude a Power BI presentation on my laptop now, and I log in on my Power BI application on my mobile phone, I, on the second, will be able to see the very report that I just finalized on my laptop. So that if I were walking to a client meeting and I left my accountant finalizing on a report, I do not need to carry my laptop, or I do not need to have them send me an email with the final report. I will just need to be logged in on the system, and at whatever point he or she updates the report, I will get an instant update upon refresh of the very information that they just concluded working on. That is the power and vastity within Power BI gets to work. You are able to scale Power BI across your organizations with a lot of built-in governance and security. Power BI has taken into consideration most of the security concerns that individuals and firms have with regards to data security, with regards to data privacy, and with regards to the governance issues around the data that they do handle. So most of them have been covered, and we can be able to share right up on the same. So Power BI is able to connect to all data points that you want to imagine, whether this is your online servers, whether this is your SQL databases, whether this is your marketing platforms like SurveyMonkey, whether this is Microsoft Excel, whether this is your whatever database that you want to pull data from, Power BI is able to connect to. What they've done is they've been able to generate partnerships or collaborations with all the main data handlers, including programming languages like Python. So much so that if you're working across platforms, you do not need to necessarily import or to necessarily download that data from wherever it sits. You just need to create a connection between Power BI and whatever platform that is, and they will be able to work very seamlessly to allow you to be able to generate your reports. It's a business analytics service by Microsoft, we have mentioned. It is largely cloud-based, though you can also use it on your desktops and laptops. Its aim is to allow you to very interactively visualize and be able to do business intelligence on an interface that is very simple, very dynamic, and easy to learn. We could do this presentation on Power BI, and in the afternoon, you could set out and prepare your first Power BI presentation. It offers also data warehousing capabilities, which includes the power or the capabilities to be able to prepare, to be able to do data discovery, and to be able to interact with your dashboard reports. So what Power BI is able to do is, among other things, it provides a very fast and easy access to your data. Remember, we've said you do connect Power BI to your data source. So if, for instance, you have connected Power BI to your sales database, wherever it sits, the moment we've had a new client, or the moment we've had a new sales transaction, or the moment we've had an adjusted change in prices, automatically, owing to that connection, and considering that this data set could be in an online platform, which is always available 24/7, you could get instant updates of your data positioning at any point in time as you want it to be. It provides a 360 degrees view of your business. From the Power BI dashboard reports, it provides a very interactive platform for you to be able to really pick in all the details or all the particulars about the data as you look at it. It allows for data discovery and exploration. You are able to see your insights, your Power BI insights from any device, from your mobile, from your iPad, from your laptop, as long as you have connected to the same platform. And you should be able to create an email. You should be able to create an account using your email. Now, Power BI will not allow you to create an account using a personal email account like Gmail. You can only create an account using a corporate email address. The thought being, the thought process behind Microsoft applications is to be able to commercialize it at some point, which Power BI has already started. So since it allows for collaboration, only people with the same domain name. So if now in the office, all of us have the Humanitarian global domain name in our email addresses, then that is what Power BI will use to be able to know if I am a colleague, which then makes me a collaborator or a person involved in the data that we are working on. So key benefits of Power BI, among other things, it has pre-built dashboards. As opposed to generating dashboards on applications such as Microsoft Excel, Power BI already has pre-built dashboards that are popular or that provide popular solutions. Power BI, the business intelligence bits of BI, will be able to run through your data and imagine some of the that you might be interested in owing to the data that you have loaded or that you have connected to. It provides real-time dashboard updates. It provides a very secure live connection data sources, both on your laptop and on the cloud. It is very intuitive. At the moment you start generating your dashboards, you can even use natural language on Power BI to be able to develop your dashboard. For instance, if you had data on, let's say, all the persons attend this web at the moment, if we had connected to our Zoom servers and we wanted to know of all the people attending this presentation at the moment, and we wanted to tell how many countries are represented, I could simply go on my Power BI once the data has been connected and simply ask Power BI, kindly generate a pie chart or a bar chart of the countries represented and their frequencies. And automatically, Power BI will give me that chart without going far. As opposed to Excel, where you will have to know how to do or how to prepare a pie chart, then you will have to load the data, then you will have to proceed and adjust the chart to fit the purposes for which you want it to be able to do. Power BI, since it is a Microsoft application, it has very seamlessly been integrated with all other Microsoft applications. You want to think of Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Outlook, so that the moment I am preparing a dashboard report on my Power BI platform, I can instantaneously be able to write a mail and invite my team members, since we have the same domain name, to be able to join me in collaborating and being able to finalize my report. And just like that, we'll be on the same platform. I will not necessarily need to send them my update report or a screenshot or download the report and have to send them. I will just be able to invite them. And since Microsoft is still, since Outlook is also a Microsoft application, as Power BI is, I'll be able to immediately be able to proceed. Power BI also works very easily with Microsoft Excel, since they are all applications in Microsoft. I should though tell you that when you download or when you purchase the Microsoft Suite application, it does not come with Power BI. Power BI is a standalone Microsoft application. Matter of fact, Power BI is a yellowish application. If I can just go to show you what Power BI looks like. So this is the Power BI desktop application, which which is what we are talking about. So you can see it is it allows you to be able to create query reports, some of which we cannot be able to create on typical platforms like Microsoft Excel. If, for instance, I wanted to create, let's say, a pie chart or using my Power BI application, since I've already loaded my data, you can be able to check on your data by clicking on the table view, and that will allow you to be able to look at your data. If I wanted to do my dashboard report on Power BI, I will just need to select the space in which I want my report to appear. And since I've already decided I want a pie chart, I will just need to go and select the pie chart like that. And I will automatically be having a default pie chart where I just need to decide the data that I want. And if I want to now load in the data, I will go and open up my data to be able to see the very many details of my data. Then I should be able to load in the respective parts of my data that I'm interested in. So I want to look in at, let's say, the years and the profit. By clicking on that, automatically my dashboard is done. I have the pie chart illustrating my years. If I want to filter the other reports that I'm having with regards to one of these years, let's say the year 2020, I will simply come and click on this side of 2020, and you will see the whole of the other graphs are going to be adjusted to be able to capture that change. And if I want to look at 2021, I will also click and that changes. If I wanted to change this report from a pie chart to, let's say, a line chart, I will simply need to click on the reports, on the chart that I would want to change, click on the line chart, and just like that, my report is already done. We will not need to do a lot of work. Of course, it is a straight line since our data only has 2 years, not unless I decide to filter it down so that I can be able to look at the months, the quarters, like that. Not unless I filter it down to be able to look at the respective months. That is what I'm able to do again using Power BI. So we were saying that Power BI is a standalone tool. It is not part of the Microsoft suite. In the event you are hoping to find it, you will need to go in and download it. I also indicated that you can use Power BI for purposes of being able to generate or to auto-generate your dashboard. So this is a case where I'm simply writing what is the average cost per trip by region of travel. And automatically, Power BI is able to quickly scramble that from my data, and it is able to generate for me a report in that very instance. So the Power BI ecosystem is made of, among others, we have the Power BI desktop. This will be the version you will download on your laptop or on your desktop in the event you want to be able to use both the online and offline Power BI capabilities. We have the Power BI service. This is both the software that allows us to be able to now access Power BI online. With your account that I mentioned you can create, you can go on your browser and be able to log in to your Power BI service. This will allow you to be able to see all the reports you have ever made on your Power BI account, all collaborations or all reports that are being made with your team members for purposes of collaboration. It has Power BI mobile apps. You can also download Power BI on your mobile phone. And when you log in, you will be able to see the reports that are on your accounts. You can download Power BI Gateway. Power BI Gateway. This allows you to be able to connect to all the main or the major data sources outside of the Power BI platform. So if you're not logging in a data set that is already on Power BI, then the Power BI Gateway will be very important in assisting you to be able to connect. It has Power BI embedded. This is the capability that allows you to be able to develop your dashboard reports. Then you have the report server. The moment you are working on your reports and you would want companies to be able to help store company information for purposes of security, then you want to go to the BI report servers. That will be the capability. And then, of course, we have the visuals marketplace, where you can even be able to input your programming, like in R, into your Power BI toolkit so that while you are programming your inputs, while the data is being collected, you are also able to get your reports. So that is most of the tools that Power BI really allows us to do. We have other support functionalities that Power BI also has. So Power BI, many people say it does what we call the ETL, the extract, the transform, and then the leverage or the learning toolkit. So Power BI, among other things, it has, Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View, Power Map, Power Q&A, most tools which are standalone within the Microsoft Excel application, but Power BI has brought all that together for purposes of being able to allow you to interact better with your data and be able to auto-generate your reports. And as we finish on the bit of Power BI, we are saying some of the key features is it does a lot of artificial intelligence in the background. By having loaded your data, Power BI will run around and be able to tell some of the main characteristics of your data and be able to provide you with very powerful KPI reports. Power BI has a lot of hybrid development support. You will find that, let's say, the developers of Python, the application, they keep updating or they keep adjusting their platform. At the moment that happens, they will also be able to support or provide support to Power BI so that the very updates that are on the current Python application are also integrated into the panel of Power BI, so that you do not necessarily need to go outside of Power BI to access the current features of Python. You can access them from within Power BI. So there's a hybrid development support of Power BI depending on all the data points that Power BI is using. If, let's say, you're using Salesforce, then the team at Salesforce will make sure that they collaborate and work with Power BI to ensure that at any point in time you are using your Salesforce application from within Power BI, it is as good and as updated as the Salesforce design that you have from within Salesforce. Power BI is able to allow you make very quick insights. It allows for all the common data model support. So you want to create your charts, you want to work with relationships, you want to do attributes. Power BI is able to do all of that. And of course, it also has a Cortana integration. Remember, Cortana is a Microsoft assistant on your laptop, which you can use if you have a Windows application. So Power BI also allows you to be able to use the same support. So you can go onto your Power BI platform, and instead of manually doing, you instruct or you ask for support so that you can get on the moment support with regards to whatever it is you are working with. Power BI allows for customization. So the feature allows you as a developer to be able to modify or to be able to customize your Power BI panel for fit of purpose. So for instance, our logo and our theme colors at the Humanitarian Global is the sky blue. If I wanted my dashboard report to be represented in the sky blue module, then I could on Power BI be able to customize so that all my reports always feature the sky blue within the reporting platform. That is what we mean by customization. Power BI also can allow you to auto-generate simple but very important apps, okay? So you can be able to do what we call automation. For instance, if you'd want to get, let's say, a notification whenever the 10th customer logs in on the system, or if you are a microfinance institution and you'd want the finance manager or the credit team to be notified whenever a customer tries or attempts to withdraw an amount above X, then you can be able to customize that by going to the Power Apps within Power BI to be able to automate such kind of needs within the app integration, so that you are able to get either on email or on the selected mobile devices that notification whenever that scenario has occurred. And then, of course, you are able to do modeling, as we will try and illustrate in this short illustration. Among other things, what you can do on Power BI, you are able to pull in data from whatever systems you're working with. You are able to create relationship within the different data sets that you're having. If you're working with the databases, you can be able to connect all those databases so that your report is based on one consolidated data. You are able to create your reports, of course. You can save your reports and share them on email, share them on WhatsApp statuses or WhatsApp groups. You can be able to share them as messages depending on how you've decided to extract your report, and even be able to extract them into PowerPoint presentations for purposes of being able to make a presentation. Then you are also able to upload or publish your report. This will be for cases where you'd want to have your team collaborate on. So when you have finalized your report, you can be able to upload it on the servers, which are commonly shared with your colleagues, and your colleagues will be able to see whatever report you have and be able to help you collaborate on the same. So as we finish on the bit on Power BI, we are saying it is a Microsoft application. It is built largely for analysis. It has a focus on reporting. It combines state-of-the-art interactive visualizations with industry-leading data practices, enabling you to be able to do query, enabling you to be able to do modeling, enabling you to be able to design dashboards in your reports. It helps you to also empower others with timely and critical insights. I want you to imagine your boss is traveling to the US and you are seated in your local office. You have done a report, and the only other way to share that report would be to do it on email. And as and when the boss opens that email, they will not be able to be aware of the updates. But on Power BI, you can be able to, once the boss is also connected on the same servers or on the same platform, upon refresh, they will be able to tell if or whatever changes that have happened. And if we all even go forward and be able to automate these services, the moment a change has been done or the moment a trigger has been created, depending on the automation we have made, Power BI will automatically be able to nudge our boss to be aware that indeed something has changed and he needs to be able to log in and be able to see the changes that has happened. That is the much that Power BI is able to allow us to do. That is how much Power BI is able to allow us to go. So I want to post there, since we are done with the bit on Power BI, and allow questions on the platform of Power BI. Meanwhile, as I show around the Power BI environment. Any questions on Power BI that far? Or perhaps if there are no questions. Sorry.
Jashon,
yes?
We do have a couple of questions on Power BI. Actually, they're quite interesting questions. So I believe a lot of participants here have been able to understand what Power BI does. However, we have a few questions asking for a few clarifications on a few things. So there's a lot who've been asking, what does BI mean in Power BI?
Business intelligence.
Yes, when you are giving your introduction, and you keep saying Power BI. So everyone asks, what does the BI part mean? So the BI part means business intelligence. And another question that's coming through also is, who is the provider of Power BI?
Microsoft.
Microsoft. Okay, thank you so much. And another question that also keeps coming in, I believe a lot of people have really understood exactly what Power BI does, but trying to get access to it might be a bit of an issue. So they're asking, can we get the link to set up Power BI? Can I get a chance to get access to Power BI? So how do they go about installing Power BI in their laptops, computers, and so on?
So if you want to install Power BI, I will just quickly take you through the website. So what you'll want to do is you will want to go to your browser, then you will open your new tab, then just type Power BI download, Power BI download, Power BI download. When you click on Power BI download, it is a Microsoft application, so do not get worried when you see that. So click on any that has the Microsoft icon on it. It will take you to the Power BI platform. You will scroll down until you see where we can download. So what we are looking for is Power BI Desktop. What we are looking for is Power BI Desktop. It is right here, Power BI Desktop. You will click on download, and then When you proceed with this pop-up, it should be able to download. If you want the Power BI application on your mobile phone, you instead go to your, if you're using an Android, you will go to, what is the Play Store? Android, the Play Store, yes. You'll go to the Play Store and simply type Power BI and you'll be able to get the downloadable version of Power BI. I also saw somebody was saying we ought to have done a little bit of practicals than theory. I'm afraid that will not be possible in 1 hour if you wanted to cover both Power BI and SPSS. I can see it's already, we only have 20 minutes and we have not even talked about SPSS as yet. But just as a quick illustration, when you open a new Power BI desktop application, this is what you get. It is just a blank page. The first thing you want to do is load your data. You can load data from Excel, from your SQL servers, you can paste, there are sample data sets, but I also said you can even connect it to your website. So if you want to load your data, what you do is you will come up here in the Home tab, click on Get Data. Click on Get Data, and you will see all data points that you have ever worked with. We can see data flows, data bars. Some of them you won't even know what they are. If you want to connect to your website, it's right there, blank query. Click on More so that you can see even a longer list. When you click on More, a pop-up will come. The pop-up is right here. In the pop-up, we will see all the data points you have ever thought about. So they are grouped in terms of databases. So when you click on databases, you will see all the databases that exist at the moment. IBM, MySQL, SAP, Impala, Amazon Redshift, Access, Google Database, Vertica, Snowflake, Dreamio, all of them, any database. You cannot tell me there's a database you are using which we will not be able to find here. If you want to be very sure, you can come to the certified connectors to just confirm if your database is listed. It is of advantage to the database handlers to ensure they are listed. So many times they will be. If they are not, you can then nudge them to get in touch with Microsoft to have their database listed. If you're talking about Microsoft Fabric, you will find all of them. If you're talking about the Azure platform, if you want online services, you want to think of Salesforce, SurveyMonkey, Data Hub, Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, SharePoint, Facebook. You can even link your Facebook account here so that the moment somebody likes your status, you can get an updated report. All of that is acceptable. So if, for instance, we want to load a file, then you'll come to File, which means then this file is on your laptop or on the desktop. Then you will click on File, and then you will just browse and be able to locate it. Then you will click Connect. That file is not downloaded on Power BI. We just create a connection between where that file is sitting and Power BI, which means if you ever move that file location, then your Power BI report crashes. Then when you have loaded your data, you will now end up with a screen looking like what I had here, which now allows you to be able to look at the various columns of your data. Then you will be having a blank report. So maybe let me just quickly remove all my reports here. So you'll be having blank reports. So I can just remove this. I can just also remove quickly this one. So you'll be having a blank report. You'll be having a blank report like this one. You'll be having a blank report like this. Then you now start building your dashboard. Depending on the areas or the aspects that you'd want your dashboard to focus on, you will simply either select the visualization you want to use or start by mapping or doing the pivot table. So if, for instance, I wanted to see the product listing and profits, I would just come and click on profits, on products. Now notice product is a column in my data. Then come and click on profit. Automatically, if you're familiar with Excel, we have something that looks like a pivot table on Excel. Then I will proceed to now convert it into a chart, and I will decide what kind of chart I'd want to use. And for instance, let's say I want to use a bar chart. So I'll just come and click on bar chart, and we have the first chart like that. On this first chart here, I can be able to focus more on it to be able to look at the details. And when I'm done, I can go back to the report to be able to look at it amongst others. I can come and create a second report and say, I want a line chart. I want a line chart. So I'll click on the line chart. And then I'll say, I want a line chart of, I want a trend analysis. So I'll click on dates. And I'll also click on the unit sold. I want to see the trend of units sold. And I already have a chart. I can come and narrow it down so that I can look at it in months like that. And I can decide to increase the size so that I have something close to that. We also said we can do natural language on Power BI, which most applications do not allow. I will just come here and say, I want to type something. I have a question I want to ask Power BI. So Mr. Power BI, the question I have for you here is I will put it here and say, I want to see the top five, I can see we have countries. So I'll say, I want to see the top 5 country. And the moment I start typing, you can see I have top 5 countries, yeah? So I want to see the top 5 countries. Already I'm being shown that. But I can even change the story and say, I want the top 5 countries by sales price. By sales price, like that. And you see the numbers have even changed, and automatically I have a chart for that. Automatically, I have a chart that shows me the top 5 countries by sales price. I can even decide to say that I want to see those countries on an actual map. I want to see those countries on an actual map. I'll click a space here, and I will come and select the chart. Then I will want to say that I want you to fill that map with countries. You will see Power BI will crystallize and even focus on the countries that have been mentioned. You can see the blue area. If these countries were distributed all across the globe, then we will be seeing the whole global map instead. Then I want to say that I want you to fill those countries with the profit made per country, so that now the blue shading of this will focus or will depend on how much it is, so that the country with a bigger profit will be will have a more intense color feel than the country with a lower intense color. And when we are done, we talked about interactivity in Power BI. When I click on, let's say, South Sudan, all these charts will narrow down to South Sudan. So let's see how that happens. So I'm clicking on South Sudan. So you see the map has focused now on South Sudan. This chart is telling me that while the total profits for foodstuff is this big, for South Sudan, it is only this small. And when I click on it, you will see that pop up saying that the total profit is 3 million, but for South Sudan only, the highlighted one is 58,000. And when I want to unfilter, I will simply come and click outside of the chart, and the report will filter itself out. I'll just come and click outside of the highlighted area, and the report will filter itself out like that. And we have the report back in. So that is what Power BI can do. And I can, of course, decide to use this data. So let me just move this down here so that it doesn't prevent us. I can proceed to publish this report, but you can only publish when you have a Microsoft Power BI account. So we can decide to use this report in a presentation by going to home, or rather to file, and saying, I want to export this data. I want to export this data into a PDF. Or if you are on the online Power BI application, you can say you want to export it into a PowerPoint presentation. That is how you get to create your PowerPoint. And maybe one last thing, just to quickly show you, Power BI can also allow us to do what we call key influencers. Key influencers is a very interesting visual on Power BI. So for instance, I want to know what considerations a customer makes, or what pushes a customer, or what is the likelihood of a customer to buy a product. I will come here and say, I want to look at a product. Where's the product? Product. Okay. Then having selected products, I will come and select, sorry, I selected date instead of product. So I wanted products. So for this one, I wanted products right there. Then I will go in and selecting all the information that I would want to tell, and Power BI will do its intelligence in the background to be able to see, or to be able to find out the drivers of whatever icon I have selected. So when that starts running, so I don't know why. Also, there is an issue with my data loading. So maybe I would need to load that data again. But essentially, that is how Power BI really gets to work. So you simply go loading your data, then you are able to proceed and quickly map your data on the BI platform, which you can then export and use it wherever it is you wanted to use it. Now, that was for Power BI. Allow me to, in the next few minutes, quickly go over SPSS. Now, as opposed to Power BI, SPSS is a statistical tool. As a matter of fact, SPSS is labeled Statistical Package for Social Sciences. In its invention, it was mainly focused for helping in the humanitarian world or in the non-corporate world for purposes of being able to assist with either data collection or data collection and a statistical analysis. It is a tool that is developed by IBM Watson. So it is a tool that is developed by IBM Watson, and it draws its strengths in being able to do statistical analysis, as opposed to Power BI that draws in strengths in being able to create dashboards. So it is a tool that can be used for data collection, processing questionnaires, reporting in tables and graphs, analyzing your data in frequencies, the means, the chi-square, the regression, and all of that. Power BI, the SPSS platform looks like this. So it would look something very close to Microsoft Excel. It has, all the cells that Microsoft Excel has. You will need to load in your data, which you can copy paste, or you can go to the file and then import your data. You can import your data also from databases, from Excel, CSV, but SPSS does not have as large a list of data connectors as Power BI has, but it still has something. So you can go and select all the data points, then you will be able to load in your data. When you have loaded your data, you should be able to proceed to clean your data for purposes of being able to use it in an illustration. But since this was just an illustration, I will show you an output report that we have. A sample report that is an end product of an SPSS output. So having loaded some data, we are able to get our statistical outputs, the mean, the median, mode, and the rest. We are able to get frequency distributions or in tables. We are able also to have some very basic visualizations or charts, though you are not able to modify the charts so much as per what we are able to do in Power BI. How do you get to this kind of summaries? So you would need to have some data. So I'm going to just load in a sample data that has already been loaded on SPSS. I'm going to show you some random data which has already been loaded on SPSS. This could be that kind of data, which when we go to data view, you can see it's quite some data. So this is data that was already loaded and it has already been keyword for use on SPSS. If you wanted to be able to do visualizations around this, we can either go to graphs and be able to say we want to do a chart build. So we can go to chart builder and then say we want to create a report. So what kind of chart do I want? I want, let's say, a bar chart. So I'll come here and pick this. These are column charts, not a bar chart. I will put it there. But of course, on SPSS, because its focus is not on charting, it just calls it a bar chart. But as we know, this is a column chart. A bar chart is where the bars are running across, like this case. This is a bar chart. This is a bar chart. But on SPSS, it calls this a bar chart when it is instead a column chart. But nonetheless, we should be able to drag our data for purposes of mapping. So let's say I want to look at products. So I'll just come and drag it and put it there. We just drag it and put it in there. And then I can come and say, I want to look at the products with regards to revenue. I put in the revenues in there. And just like that, we will be having the chart where we can slightly modify. And when we are done, we will say, okay. And we will have that as a result in our chart. So we will see we have this as a result. So we put in product and revenues. This is the result of that output that we created. So SPSS also can do visualization, but it is a bit limited as opposed to what Power BI can do. So just quickly running through SPSS, it will come into the picture at the point where you already have your data. You just want, or you've already done your questionnaire or your survey. You just want to use SPSS as a data management and a statistical analysis tool. To add data into a SPSS platform, you will go to data entry in SPSS editor, import from Excel or from wherever the data sits, and then it will be uploaded onto your SPSS platform. You need to be aware that SPSS works largely with quantitative data, though it also works with some qualitative data. If I go back to my SPSS platform, here, when I'm trying to say create a chart, you will see that we have some data points that are illustrated using these dots and an A. These are qualitative data sets: officer, product, product sold, the product names, yes? Then the ones with this thing that looks like a ruler are quantitative data points: revenue, units, cost. So SPSS is very particular with the data type. SPSS is very particular with the data type, and that is why you will see that when we go to variable view, you have to define your data type in SPSS before you are able to proceed doing any analysis. You have to tell SPSS, this is a date data type. This is a text data type, we call it string. This is a numeric data set, which whether it is currency or just numbers or currency again in this case. So SPSS is very particular with the data types in being able to allow you conduct your data. And of course, whenever you're naming your variables on SPSS as a guide, you need not to have spaces within your variable names. Do not have any special characters that like the equal sign, divide by sign, the arithmetic operators. You cannot have those when naming your variables. You name your variables on SPSS in the screen here. So I'm just trying to again flip to SPSS here. When you're creating your variables, you will need to determine the variable names here. So when you're determining the variable names, how you type the name is very important. One, you cannot have a space. Like the word product category, we cannot have the word product space category. But we can also not have product minus category, because that then would confuse SPSS into wondering whether it should be subtracting two icons. That is why I'm using an underscore. You cannot repeat a name. For instance, I cannot come here and say I have another data that I'm calling date again. That will be a problem, as you can see. We cannot repeat names. A name that has already been assigned to a variable cannot be reused again. And of course, SPSS, since it focuses very much on data types, it has 3 scales of measurement. In typical mathematics and in an ideal situation, we have 4 scales of measurement. We have nominal scale, which is just variable names. When I say your eye color is blue, my eye color is red, it does not mean that because your eye color is gray and mine is blue, you are better or worse than me. So just names. We have ordinal scale, which now assigns an order. When I say tall, taller, tallest, then you can tell that somebody is taller than the other because they are taller or tallest. All right, so that is ordinal scale. But when we now start bringing in intervals, when I say in Nairobi, it is 20 degrees centigrade, while in Kampala, it is 23, we have definite points that is called interval scale. But on SPSS, it combines the interval and the ratio scale in what we call scale, variable. So this is what the SPSS would look like and where we get to access the various items. I am noticing that time has run out. That is why I'm trying to be in a hurry here. So this is how SPSS would look like. Do not worry, the slides will be shared. How to do data analysis on SPSS? You start by first bringing that data on SPSS. Then you decide on the procedure you'd want to use to do your analysis. So well, on SPSS and on the data view, you want to decide how you want to analyze your data. So under analyze, you can generate reports. You can do descriptive statistics. The frequencies, mean, mode, median, all those will be under descriptives. You can do cross tabs when you want to do, let's say, ANOVA tests. You want to go into being able to do cross tabs. You can do ratio analysis. You can generate PP plots, QQ plots, and the rest. You can do Bayesian statistics. 1 sample means, 2 sample means, related samples, normal, independent samples, Pearson correlation, linear regression, all of that. You can do tables. You can compare means when you're doing t-tests. You can do linear regression or linear models. You can do correlation analysis, regression analysis. All of those will be found under the Analyze toolkit. So you need to decide after loading your data, which kind of procedure you want to do. What are you interested in statistically? Then you will proceed to select the variables that you want to analyze. So if, for instance, for my data here, I have decided I want to go to analyze, and then I've said I want to see descriptive statistics. So if I go and click on descriptive statistics, it will allow me to pick the items I would want to describe. So I want to say, let's say I want to look at revenue and to look at the units sold. Okay, then I will proceed to decide what I want exactly. So I want to see the mean, I want to see the total sum, I want to see the standard deviation, variance, range, standard error, maximum, minimum, kurtosis, skewness, whatever it is you want. You just select whatever you want at that point in time, then you will click continue. But of course, if and when you get to register for our comprehensive SPSS classes, then we will take you on a step-by-step approach as to what to go with depending on what you want to get. You will click continue, and when you click OK, then SPSS will be able to generate for you a report down here, which gives us instances of all the items we selected. So we said we wanted, so for our report down here, we said we wanted the descriptive statistics. It is down here, and we can see that we selected revenue generated and units sold, and we are being told this is the range, the median, the maximum, the sum, the mean, mode, all of that like that to the end. So that is how you are able to generate results on SPSS. And as I finalize, you will now proceed to examine the results of your output still in the SPSS platform. When we get more time, we'll be able to take you through going through that analysis. So all the statistical analysis, you get them through Analyze, but when you want to the graphical outputs, you go to the graphs. We have mentioned that. So the possible data visuals on SPSS, we can either have charts, which we have seen. We can either have frequencies, frequency distributions, or we can have our result in tables, like in this case down here. And in finalizing, whenever you're visualizing data on SPSS, you have to know the type of chart you want to use depending on the output that is important for you. So you can either create bar charts, pie charts, or line charts, depending on the message you wish to communicate. If you are intending to do a comparative analysis, then you want to use bar charts. If you're intending to do a proportional analysis, you want to use pie charts. And when you are trying to do a trend analysis, then you want to consider using line charts like that. So which chart to go with? Again, we've said before you decide on that, you will need to decide what is the level of measurement for the variable that you want to visually present. You want to decide that variable. How many variables are we going to use, or how many categories do we have for the said variable, so that you can know which kind of chart would work best depending on the details that you're having. Then you'll need to decide, or you need to determine if at all there are any relationships or comparative information of this variable to another. You will need to decide on the simplicity of the message, the clarity with which you'd want the message to go out to the people who will be looking at your report. And lastly, any expectations or preferences that you will have with regards to the data you will be using and how you will want it to be presented in your charts. And I think that far we have been able to quickly scribble through what SPSS is. As a quick comparative analysis, SPSS is made by IBM. Microsoft is made by, Power BI is made by Microsoft. Summary, IBM is used for statistical analysis. Power BI is used for, largely for reporting. And it also allows for server-based or online-based reporting. Most of these applications are for sale. Power BI, both of them will provide you with, it's called what? I've forgotten the name, when they allow you to use the application for free. They will give you some time to be able to use the application for free. Though Power BI, you can use it for free, but the very basic module. But SPSS will only allow you a 30 days trial duration to be able to use the application. Otherwise, you need to purchase the applications. The same for Power BI. If you do not purchase if you do not purchase the application, then there are some limitations which you cannot achieve, including collaboration and including being able to invite your team members to work together in a report. The very starting point, if you opted to purchase the application, SPSS is a bit pricey. Its starting price is at $99, while Power BI, the very basic module, has $9.99, though it even has a module which goes for $199. Of what you would expect with Power BI is it allows you to be able to survey, to be able to author, to be able to deploy surveys. It allows you to be able to do data mining. It can do text analytics. It can allow for collaboration, though limited as compared to Power BI. It can allow you to deploy or it can allow you to automate scoring services for your data. Power BI on the other side, it does data analysis. It is equipped with a reporting engine, which can also do database querying. It has an SQL server inbuilt, which can allow you to do queries and be able to transform your data. It has the ETL extract, transform, and be able to lingually understand the details within the data. It has master data management techniques, and it can also allow you to do data cleaning. So the last question you want to ask is, then which one should I use, Power BI or SPSS? All of them, they are good. It only depends on what you want to do. Do you want to do statistical analysis? You want to think SPSS. Is your focus on the visuals and the reporting? You want to think Microsoft Power BI. All of them can do what the other can. SPSS can generate reports, but it cannot generate superior reports to what Power BI can do. Power BI can do statistical analysis, but it cannot do statistical analysis to the level or to the detail with which SPSS can do. That far, I would want to submit that is the presentation we had for today. I know it has been very rushed, considering we were actually looking at two tools, both of which are very extensive. But at Humanitarian Global, we offer you the opportunity to be able to look at our website and be able to see some of the courses we are having. And when we get some time to meet in a comprehensive session, we'll be able to look forward to take you through a detailed approach at how to go through all of these documentations. I will welcome questions and engagements as we finalize, and Sheila and Diana to help us with moderating the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jashon, for your wonderful presentation. And actually, a lot of the questions that did appear in the Q&A section have actually been answered through your final presentation, as well as a comparison for the two, SPSS and Power BI. So thank you so much for that. And Jashon is actually one of our trainers here at Humanitarian Global and does undertake a training on the same, on SPSS and Power BI. Before we move on, or before we close, I'm just looking at a few other questions. Kevin asks, which is actually quite a repeated question throughout the Q&A, what is the difference between Tableau and Power BI? Jashon?
What is the difference between Tableau and Power BI? Now,
yes.
Both of them are visualization platforms. Both of them are visualization platforms. Tableau's visualizations are more program-based, while Power BI platforms are more drag and drop based or app-based. So on Power BI, the charts have already been created. So your work is just to decide what chart you want and which attributes you want of the chart. Tableau has a little bit of programming that you need to do in the background. So if you wanted an easy to use tool, then Power BI is easier to learn than Tableau. But if you have learned Tableau, you are still able to generate dashboards. But with regards to the quality and to the detail of the report that you will end up with, Power BI will still give you a more superior report to Tableau. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to take a few questions here because there are so many. However, the rest of them, I encourage our participants to engage with us on our community forum. This is Humanitarian Global Wave Forum, to be able to engage with us, and we'll be able to answer more, or even take up the training that I've been able to share. This is on, I'll be able to share shortly. Just now on the same question, I'd like to follow that question up with a question from Malika. Malika from Afghanistan also asks, what is the difference between Microsoft Excel and Power BI when it comes to data analysis?
Microsoft Excel and Power BI, the first similarity is they're all Microsoft applications, but the difference is that Power BI can also generate dashboards. Power BI can also generate dashboards. So I'm just trying to just quickly help you pick one instance where Power BI was used in generating a dashboard. So I'm just opening one quick dashboard on Excel to show you that Excel can also generate dashboards. The difference, though, will be that Power BI allows for an easier way to have that dashboard. So this is an illustration of a dashboard that has been generated on Microsoft Excel. And you can see it is interactive, yes, because I'm able to use these icons to be able to filter through my data, just like Power BI was doing. But the difference with Power BI is all the interactivity that I'm generating here with Microsoft Excel has already been achieved with Power BI. You remember while we were on Power BI, I was actually selecting the respective chart. If I wanted to look at, let's say, this icon, I would select on it and all of them will filter in place. You can also see that a lot of formulas have run in the background in being able to ensure that I have this chart. Of course, not forgetting the number of sheets that I had to create in being able to support ended at where I wanted. But with Power BI, now flipping back to Power BI, you will find that you will not need all those many, your work would be shortened by more than half if you are generating the same report using Power BI. Because you can see I only have one sheet, which is what has my report, has my data, and no formulas were created, and I was still able to get the final report. So with regards to the ease of creating the dashboards, Power BI still wins. All the functions and all the activities that Microsoft Excel can do have been loaded on Power BI. So Power BI is actually, if you want, a superior Excel because it can do everything that Excel can do and above. But Excel cannot do everything that Power BI can do. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Jashon. Participants, in the interest of time, I will ask that we end there today. However, as you can see, we've been able to share the link to join our community forum, okay, as well as how to enroll for our workshops. So like I did mention, these Power BI as well as SPSS is part of the training that we do here at Humanitarian Global. So allow me just to talk a little bit as we wind up, as we close on the kind of trainings that we do here at Humanitarian Global. So as you can see, we do have a number of upcoming trainings from Humanitarian Global, and there are a lot based on, for instance, WASH, water sanitation hygiene, SBCC, this is social behavior communication. We have data collection for humanitarians using COBOL Toolbox and Open Data Kit. We have one on monitoring evaluation. We have a lot on data analytics and visualization as well, fundraising and resource mobilization, writing proposals and reports for donor-funded projects, as well as leadership and project management for NGOs. Today, allow me just to focus a little bit more on what we've been able to cover today. So this is data analytics and visualization using SPSS and Power BI. So if you would like to learn a lot more, today was just more or less an overview, a bit of an introduction into both Power BI and SPSS. If you're really interested in learning more about these, kindly do click on the links that we've been able to share with you. And as you can see, there's the dates for these upcoming trainings. So from 30th October to 3rd November, this is next week. The physical training starts on Monday for 5 days. This is on, like I did mention, data analytics and visualization using Power BI and SPSS. You'll be able to learn a lot more of this. Jashon is the trainer who will be taking us through this. We do have the online one, which is 10 days from 13th to 24th November. And this is 2 hours a day for 5 days a week. And then the other one, let's not talk about the other one. It's too far. It's too far. Let's not plan that far ahead. But I'd like for us to at least attend either the online one that is in November, 13th November, or the physical one that is next week. For you to register, kindly do come, click on this, on the link here, register, okay? And you will generate a form like this, training workshop registration form, fill in your details, ensure to fill in the bit where it says training workshop, and then you scroll down, you can find data analytics and visualization using SPSS and Power BI, and then come and click online or on site. And once you fill in the other details, once you've clicked submit, our team will be able to reach out to you to assist you with the final processes of payments and registration. Just to mention, the physical training goes for $750, and the online training, the 2 weeks one, this is virtual classroom through Zoom, where you still get to engage with a trainer online, just the same way as you would do in a classroom. Only the difference is this is online. That one goes for $500. Once again, we have been able to share these links severally. Go to the chat section, you'll be able to see the links. And with that said, participants, I encourage you to join this training. As you've seen today, this was just an overview, and it's actually quite important for us, especially those working in the humanitarian development aid field, or those looking to join this field, to be able to understand how to analyze the data that we are collecting, and also how to not just analyze, but visualize and report on the same data. So this is using SPSS, Power BI. I've shared with you the link, and I've shared with you the dates. And during the class also, we teach you how to install the softwares as well. I've seen a lot of questions on accessing the software. So during the training, the first thing we do is teach you how to install SPSS and Power BI and how to use it. With that said, I'd like to thank Jashon for taking time today to be able to take us through quite a lot when it comes to Power BI and SPSS. I do appreciate you taking time to train us, and I look forward to next week when we actually cover this in depth throughout the training. I'd like to thank all our attendees, especially those of us who've been quite engaging in the Q&A section as well as in the chat section. Those of you who've shared your contact details with us, our team will be reaching out to you with more information on the trainings. Remember, we will be sharing the presentation that was shared today, as well as the recording, via the email that you did register with, as well as on our community forum. So I encourage you also to join the community forum. I'd like to finally thank the entire Humanitarian Global team for having facilitated this webinar. Like I did mention, this webinar is broadcast even on Facebook. So thank you so much, Humanitarian Global team, for having facilitated that. With that, I wish you a great rest of your day, and let us meet here next week for another webinar. Next week will be on fundraising. So I look forward to meeting you next week. With that said, I wish you a great rest of your day, and goodbye.
My name is Adam Mohammed. I am a humanitarian person and a farmer at the same time. I am also a Nigerian. My journey as a humanitarian started sometimes around 2016 in the NYSC camp. When you finish your degree program, you need to go for a year training. So in Nigeria, we call it NYSC, National Youth Service Corps. So while at the camp, I have this staff of KUSO International. KUSO International actually is a Canadian humanitarian organization that is working towards ensuring no poverty and no equality among the community in all. So they approached the serving corps members at the camp, telling them to come and volunteer with the organization in providing services in certain communities that they will be posted to. At first, I wasn't interested because I am a farmer. Then I realized that there are several areas where I can render my service to. I can also render my service to youths, encouraging them to have a sustainable means of livelihood in agriculture. There and then, I key in, I applied, I became a volunteer. So after volunteering with KUSO International, I then had the interest of working as a humanitarian person. I worked with KUSO International for a year, and thereafter I moved for my second degree studies, Masters in Agricultural Economics at Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. So because of the distance of the place I was rendering the humanitarian service and the place I'm studying, I had to then resign from that particular role. Thereafter, while I was working, I was studying with at Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. Then I also had the opportunity to also volunteer with Action Against Hunger in Borno State. Because of the insurgency, the people in the IDP camp needed humanitarian service. Then I said to myself, I would volunteer to provide that service. After working with Action Against Hunger, thereafter I worked as a farm manager with Agro News Nigeria, and then here I am today working with FX Commodities Exchange, impacting life and providing humanitarian services to the humanity.